Hey everyone, it's Dave again. Just wanted to make this sort of quick video about me being bored basically and trying to figure out how to make a cart filler for the new Ego-T tank systems. Basically, most people will sell a syringe. I got this one out of a first aid kit and it works perfectly. I can slide that bad boy in there and, you know, just put my juice right in there. But some people have these laying around. If you have kids, you probably, use these syringes, put medicine in it, holds 10 milliliters, and you use this to give your kids medicine. Or you have one of these bottles laying around that you use for your juice. I have tons of these things. So I was like, well, how can I make a cheaply, how can I make a syringe type delivery system for these carts? The reason being is a lot of people don't like taking the caps off the end because basically using it over and over, taking it on and off a lot will make the seal weaken and it will eventually leak. And we all know that these carts aren't expensive, but they do cost money, so we want to make them last as long as possible. So I noticed a lot of people on the forums are using these delivery systems, syringes or what have you, to just basically inject the fluid right into it and they're good to go. They don't have to pop the cap off. So I was bored and I'm sitting around the house and I'm like, how can I make this same type of delivery system for normal people with crap that they just have laying around the house? Well, I opened up my pen drawer and I happened to grab tons of different types of pens. Okay, just regular ballpoint pens. Alright. Okay. And I started ripping out the guts and looking at the tubes. And I was like, hey, you know what? The inside diameter of the hole right here that you see at the end is almost 3 millimeters to be exact. Okay. This ballpoint pen in particular, the Bic round stick, all right, has about a 2.99 millimeter diameter tube. It will fit, it will work, but not as well as the Papermates, the clear Papermate. Let me find the end of it here, put it together for you. The regular white or clear Papermate pens work very well. Pulled the guts out, looked at the tube, stuck it on there, and as you can see, it slides in and out very nicely and easily. The outer diameter of this tube is 2.96, so it's a perfect fit. Alright, it fits in there nice and easy, and you don't have any problems with trying to make it fit. So then I said, okay, well, I have a tube, now what? Well, I happened to be looking around the garage and I found heat shrink tubing. This is 3 millimeter heat shrink tubing. I'm sorry, this is 7 millimeter heat shrink tubing, and I have two different types here. There is a hard, shiny, harder plastic type. This is no good. It won't shrink enough to make a good seal on the tube. What you want is the soft. You can hear the difference. Anyway, you want the soft kind, the soft heat shrink tubing. The 7 millimeter will shrink down to about 2.8 millimeters. So it gives a nice seal on a 2.96 millimeter tube. It creates a nice seal. So basically what you want to do is you want to take your pen tube, and you can see that there's some ink left over on the end up toward the top. Don't worry about it. We're going to cut off right just after that ink, so we won't have to worry about any ink problems. Some of the tubes you get won't have any ink anywhere, and you'll have almost an inch to play with. Most of these pens have about an inch of free tubing that's had no ink in it to play with, and you can use it, just snip it off. And anyway, so what you want to do is you want to take your tube while it's still attached, and you want to take your tubing, okay, and you can take a snip off about, I don't know, maybe 2.5 inches. I don't know, I'm just going to cut this one in half. So now we have a little piece like so, and what I'm going to do is, if you want to get really technical, what I wanted to really do is go about halfway down this tube, so I would have about half of it sticking out, because you want at least what is it, about 2 millimeters or so sticking out, so that when you slide it in there, it'll actually go past the plastic cap. So you can make it as close or as far away as you'd like. It all depends on how much ink you have left over on the end. You don't want to put ink in your cart. So anyway, so what I did is I basically just took this tubing and I grabbed my pliers and I held on to the end. Alright, and this is the end I'm going to shrink. You take your little barbecue lighter, or use that lighter that you used to use for your analogs, and I'm just going to shrink the end of this a tad bit. Okay, not a lot. I don't want to shrink it all the way. I'm only going to shrink it a little bit, so that it will slide on to this tube nicely. Okay, and as you can see, that slid on very nicely. Okay, and so now I have a little bit left sticking out. Okay, that's basically all I want to do. I'm going to snip off before that ink, and you know what, the best part is it doesn't ruin the pen. The pen's perfectly usable. Put it back together, you're good to go. Start writing. Alright, but what you want to do now is, I don't need this much on the end, so I am going to take my scissors and I'm going to snip off. And I'll probably have about 1/2 inch or so left out. Now you're going to be like, oh well, that looks nasty. Believe me, it will turn out just fine. So now you can take your syringe, if you want to use a syringe type of delivery system, okay, which a lot of people like. You basically place it on the end like this. You hold it up, take your lighter, and you're going to slowly heat and press on. Alright, and you're going to want to straighten it out a little bit. Okay, and you're going to heat that in to make sure that it's sealed. Okay, so now it's all heated up, all sealed. A little warm to the touch, don't burn yourself, because then we will have to laugh at you. But there you go, that's it. Now, this will not pull off, okay? If it does pull off like it just did, you don't have a tight enough seal. So what you want to do is push it down a little more, okay? Heat it up on purpose, very hot, okay? Make that thing shrink on there very well, and then roll it around in your fingers until you get a nice seal. Okay, now there, now it's on there and it ain't coming off. Now I can just take my syringe, dip it in my juice, alright, fill it up like so, self-explanatory. Pop my end in there, fill it up, and that's it. That's all you do. Now you can also do this same mod with one of these bottles, and what I did is I did one earlier with a black tube, but you can see, excuse me, that I did the same exact thing with one of these ends. I just stuck over the heat shrink on there and just shrunk it onto one of these bottles. So now I can just use this bottle, alright, that I have my e-juice in already, and just stick it in there and push it down, get the juice there. There we go. I don't know if you can see it, but it's filling up. Gets almost to the top. Stop. That's it. Done. Now, some of you may be like, okay, well, if I do make a bottle, if I do this mod, then you know, I'm obviously not going to get the cap back on. Well, I have a solution for you. The solution is to take that pin housing, okay, that you took the pin, the original tube that you used for the mod. You're going to take the big tube, okay, and you're going to cut off the end, okay, of that tube that houses that plastic cap, or the plastic end. The caps that go to these things, you could use that too, and cut off the little pocket clip. Okay, you could use that. It doesn't work quite as well, but you could use that. My problem is I can never find caps to pins anyway, so anyway, I came up with this. I figured, hey, destroy a pin, no big deal, save me, you know, $2 or $3 and $800 shipping. So anyway, basically just snip off the end however much you need to fit, okay, for your little mod that you did, okay. It might be, you know, for you it might be an inch, might be an inch and a half, might be an inch 3/4, who knows. Basically, I just eyeballed it and said, okay, that looks good. All right, let me snip off that much, okay. Made a mark, took my scissors and snipped it off. So now I have this little cap, and I can use that to basically just slide on the end of this, and there you go. Okay, now it is sealed. It won't leak. It's pretty airtight. You don't want to make it so tight that when you pull it off, okay, you actually rip this off with it as well, which is going to be pretty hard to do if you seal it on there really well. And again, the seal will come from how much heat you put on it, and you know how much you work it on there with your fingers and all that to keep it on there nice and tight. But anyway, you don't want to put this on so tight that it rips this mod right off the end, okay. And it will also work for the bottle. All right, it actually works kind of better for the bottle. I can put it on there a little bit tighter, and it's on so tight that it'll actually just pull the end out of the bottle, which is nice. So then I know it's on there and it's sealed. Okay, so that's the cap. Just cut off the end of the pin that you're going to probably throw away anyway, and there you go. That's it. So that is your syringe and your bottle mod that you can do, and the cap to go on either one. Thanks for watching.